Letter 77 by Charles Lamb. Dec. 16th, 1800. We are. Not the facetious epilogue could save us. For, as the editor of the Morning Post, quick-sighted gentleman, hath this morning truly observed, I beg pardon if I falsify his words, their profound sense I am sure I retain, both prologue and epilogue were worthy of accompanying such a piece. And indeed, mark the profundity, Mr. Manning, were received with proper indignation by such of the audience only as thought either worth attending to. Professor, thy glories wax dim. Again, the incomparable author of the True Briton declareth in his paper, bearing same date, that the epilogue was an indifferent attempt at humor and character, and failed in both. I forbear to mention the other papers because I have not read them. O Professor, how different thy feelings now, quantum mudetis ab illo professor, qui in agris philosophi tantas victorias acquisivisti. How different thy proud feelings but one little week ago, thy anticipation of thy 9 nights, those visionary claps which have soothed thy soul, by day and thy dreams by night. Calling in accidentally on the professor while he was out, I was ushered into the study, and my nose quickly, most sagacious always, pointed me to 4 tokens lying loose upon thy table, professor, which indicated thy violent and satanical pride of heart. Imprimis, there caught mine eye a list of 6 persons, thy friends, whom thou didst meditate inviting to a sumptuous dinner on the Thursday, anticipating the profits of thy Saturday's play to answer charges. I was in the honored file. Next, a stronger evidence of thy violent and almost satanical pride, lay a list of all the morning papers, from the Morning Chronicle downwards to the Porcupine, with the places of their respective offices, where thou wast meditating to insert, and didst insert, an elaborate sketch of the story of thy play, stones in thy enemy's hand to bruise thee with, and severely wast thou bruised, O Professor. Nor do I know what oil to pour into thy wounds. Next, which convinced me to a dead conviction of thy pride, violent and almost satanical pride, lay a list of books, which thy untragedy-favored pocket could never answer. Dodsley's old plays, Malone's Shakespeare, still harping upon thy play, thy philosophy abandoned meanwhile to Christians and superstitious minds. Nay, I believe, if I can believe my memory, that the ambitious encyclopedia itself was part of thy meditated acquisitions, but many a playbook was there. All these visions are damned, and thou, Professor, must read Shakespeare in future out of a common edition, and hark ye, pray read him to a little better purpose. Last and strongest against the in colors manifest as the hand upon Belshazzar's wall, lay a volume of poems by C. Lloyd and C. Lamb, thy heart misgave thee, that thy assistant might possibly not have talent enough to furnish thee an epilogue. Manning, all these things came over my mind, all the gratulations that would have thickened upon him, and even some have glanced aside upon his humble friend, the vanity, and the fame, and the profits. The professor is £500 ideal money out of pocket by this failure, besides £200 he would have got for the copyright, and the professor is never much beforehand with the world. What? He gets his all by the sweat of his brow and dint of brain. For the professor, though a sure man, is also a slow. And now to muse upon thy altered physiognomy, thy pale and squalid appearance, a kind of blue sickness about the eyelids, and thy crest fallen, and thy proud demand of £200 from thy bookseller changed to an uncertainty of his taking it at all, or giving thee full £50. The professor has won my heart by this his mournful catastrophe. You remember Marshall, who dined with him at my house. I met him in the lobby immediately after the damnation of the professor's play, and he looked to me like an angel. His face was lengthened and all over sweat. I never saw such a care-fraught visage. I could have hugged him. I loved him so intensely. From every pore of him a perfume fell. I have seen that man in many situations, and from my soul I think that a more godlike, honest soul exists not in this world. The professor's poor nerves trembling with the recent shock, he hurried him away to my house to supper, and there we comforted him as well as we could. He came to consult me about a change of catastrophe, but alas, the piece was condemned long before that crisis. I at first humored him with a specious proposition, but have since joined his true friends in advising him to give it up. He did it with a pang, and is to print it as his. The professor was Lamb's name for Godwin. The Porcupine was Cobbett's paper,